All right, y'all can call me Clark Griswold in this video. You remember that scene where he plugs in the lights in Christmas Vacation and they don't turn on? Well, I've got lights on and operational, thank goodness. It's that time of year again to put up Christmas lights. In this video, I'm going to show you some tips you can learn from my successes and some of my failures, and including what kind of lights to buy if you're looking for a pretty stress-free, fast way to put up Christmas lights. Look how fast that is. So let's get started. Now, the first thing, obviously, you want to do is get up into your storage or wherever you have your lights stored and get them out. Now, we've got them stored in a laundry basket. I don't actually recommend that, especially if it's in your garage, because over the year it collects dust and whatnot, right? But I'll explain more soon. We're going to get out the ladder next. And I'm just putting up a single line of lights pretty much across the garage, and I'll show you what I'm doing here in a minute. But the worst part is, and kind of why I dread it each year, is getting everything out. I know there's a hot mess of tangled cords and disorganization waiting, and so that would be one tip. And when you take all this stuff down, make sure you organize it and wrap everything well, right? You want to put things on top of each other. You don't want to just throw it in there and mix it up, because you're going to regret that in December when it comes time to put up the lights again. So do your future self a favor. So I have generally things organized. Nothing is tangled or entwined with each other for the most part. So that's good. Good job, past self from last year. I thank thee. All right, so we've got a couple of different types of lights, and we've also got some outdoor electrical dawn to dusk controls. We'll get those out. And we've got all these plastic clips. Now, I've abandoned these plastic clips. If you've got these, I highly recommend changing these out for a new set at some point that don't include these, and I'll tell you why. These are very brittle over the years. These plastic clips can break. In fact, several of them broke off after only a couple of years. I've still got them here. Plus, you have to put them in a coat pocket, and it's just this extra thing while you're on top of the ladder to have to navigate in addition to the string of lights. So let me show you how this works really quickly. Assuming that you're up on your ladder, you can put them on your gutter guards, your downspouts here, and they secure in place, and then you're supposed to put your wire, your light string, into this little groove. Okay, so it kind of looks like this. And mind you, you're doing this on a ladder, right? So, and I've got one hand. It's certainly easier with two. I've got the camera, but you get the point. It's a little cumbersome and a little difficult, and you'll find after a couple of years they're more likely to snap off, that cold Brit, especially if you're in pretty cold temperatures, right? That plastic does kind of degrade and lose its integrity. So instead, this is what we purchased, and we are really happy with these. They are pretty high quality. I mean, it's plastic still, right? But it's got this hinge system, and you clip it on, and it allows kind of one-hand operation of each bulb onto your gutter guard. So you'll see that in action here in just a minute. So I highly recommend those, and that's what we're going to be installing and working with in this video. And they come in different lengths and different prices. We got the multicolored ones, and of course I'll put links in the description below for things that you can see in this video and products that I may recommend and that we personally own and like. So you can check that out. Now, this is something else that's critical, and again, put this in a tote or a Tupperware when you, not Tupperware, but a tote like a Rubbermaid when you store it. Because if you don't, it's going to get dirty, and those sensors you'll have to clean off. So that would be another tip. Make sure those sensors are cleaned off if you have a dusk to dawn, because the light sensor is able to determine the light, takes a light reading, right, and then turns the light on automatically, shuts them off automatically when the sun comes up. So that's a really nice feature, highly recommended. So we're going to plug it into our external outlet, and then we'll plug in the extension cord. Now, I prefer a green extension cord as opposed to like a yellow or an orange one for obvious reasons. It blends in with the ground a little bit better. That said, in my particular setup, because I've done this before, you'll see I have to actually bring that extension cord. It's actually not going to go across the ground very much. It's going to go right across the house. It'll be a little unsightly, but whatever. You can't really see it too much. So we'll go ahead and get our light strings out, and Clark Griswold style, I'll give this huge mess to my son, and suddenly he'll hear his mother calling him, right? Look at this. Not too bad, though. Not too bad. And they do come with fuses, and hopefully we don't have to change those fuses. I've never had to. We'll speed this up a little bit for you, and we're going to plug in the end of the light string to the extension cord. We're going to turn that off for a dramatic turn-on moment later, so make sure that's off. You could check out the bulbs right now to make sure that they are operational before you get them all up. In fact, I would highly recommend doing that, but then click it off because you want a Clark Griswold style dramatic turning on of the lights once everything's set up, right? We also have our Christmas wreaths up with some DIY red bows there. You can see that. We'll be making separate videos. You can search my channel for that. Pretty cool, pretty easy, pretty cheap. That's what this channel is all about. All right, so what I'm doing here is starting at one end, and I am pulling up all the slack. Now you're gonna wanna take some ballpark measurements, right, of how much string you have and then your line that you're trying to cover with lights, right? So in this case, we've got, I don't know, a couple strands of 50 feet, so maybe they're 50 feet total, 2 strands of 25. I can't remember the exact measurements, but I figured this out when I bought it, and I know exactly what I'm after here. So check this out. This is the key feature for these particular lights or a light system like this, right, where they've got the built-in clips. Look at that. Pinch it. It doesn't take, you know, the strength of a bear to pinch those. They're really easy, and you can do it with one hand. No tangling either. The only decision you have to make is, do you want those strings taut and tight, or do you want a little bit of flex or bowing in them? I like them taut or tight. It truly expands, is able to expand the light to its full length. Right. But again, that depends on how many feet you're trying to run. And so from there, it's a matter of adjusting the ladder and kind of getting up there and walking the ladder down as you kind of attach the lights to the rain guard like that. And look how fast I'm doing this. One-handed operation. Again, this is the way to go after having used those plastic clip systems for a while. Definitely a superior way. Now, when you're at the end of your one string of lights, you can attach your second string here. And so you plug that in and make sure that's plugged all the way in. And then you'll notice that, for example, if from light to light is 6 inches, if you've got a connector there, it should be now about 10 to 12 inches or so, right? So what are you going to do with this excess piece? Well, you don't want to put it in your gutter guard because that could, as rain and snow accumulates, you don't want that external part frozen. So you kind of want to put it in a way, secure it in a way that's not in the red gutter guard, but it's not obvious. So something kind of like this. All right, and we're going to move the ladder and just keep on going. And for God's sakes, make sure you get somebody to hold the ladder for you. Do not be Clark Griswold. You don't want to actually fall off and be hanging by the gutter guards. God, I love that movie. I'm going to go watch it right now. As far as corners go, you can see what I did here. Just like that. And I'm going to actually make a mistake. I'll show you here in a second. It looks good, but watch what happens. And this is something that you should avoid. Look at that. I kind of ran out. I didn't space it correctly. I still have quite a bit to go. And look, if we come over here to the original source, we've got the extension cord with too much slack in it. So I didn't pull that cord tightly, so I'm going to have to get back up there and start from the point of origin again and just pull it a little tighter, as tight as that will go, to account for the slack. And I'm going to move that slack basically all the way down to the left. So I had to redo a little bit, and that would be a good lesson for you before you put up your entire lights. Make sure your point of origin is exactly where you want it to be. If you've got too much slack or whatever, see that? So I'm just kind of moving that piece of slack down, and then it'll basically extend now to its to the full width of the house that I want to cover with lights. So again, double check that point of origin before you get started. It'll save yourself a little bit of time and headache. There we go. Now we are pretty much perfect. And expect your hands to get a little dirty. By the way, here are those bows that we talked, those wreaths and bows that I was talking about earlier. Pretty nice. With those with the lights up above, I think it'll be a very simple way and a very quick way to decorate the outside of your house for the holidays. Now, as far as these lights that require those little plastic clips, get rid of the plastic clips, recycle those. These lights are great for plugging in and wrapping around bushes or trees, for example, as opposed to lining your house with them. So that's what we're doing here. These do not have the built-in clips, as I mentioned. These were the old ones, and they're LED too. They're very nice lights, but they just require those extra clips that I'm not a fan of. So we're going to get rid of those and use these lights to wrap around 2 bushes on the outside of our home. And then we can turn those on. Again, test them before you hook everything up. And then here's that little dial. I like to click it, keep it on dusk to dawn, so it's stress-free. I don't even have to think about it. They're just on and off every day without wasting electricity, right? And I don't have to think about, oh, it's time to turn them on. So these are great. And again, they're plugged into an external outlet. Make sure those light sensors are clean. And here's the final look as the sun kind of goes down. Love the multicolor. You can get all white or whatever you want there, but...
Cool lights, Dad.
All right, we'll stop the video there. Hopefully this has helped you out. Happy holidays. Thanks.